What's up, Vol fans? What's up, SEC fans? We have a special show in store for you today. Those of y'all that saw the ACC Clemson video I did yesterday, well, we're fixing to talk about real football in the SEC. We've got a real good friend of the show, Couch Coach from Atlanta, GA. Welcome to the show there, Couch Coach.
Appreciate you having me on, Catfish.
Well, let's just talk about this upcoming matchup between Auburn and Georgia, and we need to really go back to the last time around. What did you see the last time around, and what was your feeling about how that game transpired?
Well, I mean, Auburn clearly has the mojo going. I mean, they have found what works for them. They run up-tempo offense. Their lines are very, very good, and they've been working on those offensive and defensive lines. Last couple of years, actually, you can just tell just the pop in which they run, and not just their size, but how fast they go. Their defense has really gotten a lot better. That was a real struggle for Gus those first couple of years, and the defense has really turned around. I was very impressed with how they played. But just on our side, I don't feel like we played with the same kind of intensity and purpose that we've played the first few weeks of the year. And, we were just making dumb mistakes, dumb penalties. And what it felt like to me? It felt like Georgia, South Carolina about 4 or 5 years ago, where they just jumped out 21-0 on us, and then they could pin their ears back, and we just didn't have an answer. And we just didn't handle that situation well. We didn't handle the crowd noise. It just felt like everything we did just didn't work, and everything they did worked. So, hey, you got to tip your hat to them. They rubbed our noses in a little bit. We beat them 3 years in a row prior to that. But, hey, to the victor goes the spoils, and we get another shot at them.
Well, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball in particular, because that seems to be where I think the weak link is, because I think you have a really strong defense. Let's talk about Fromm. What is your feelings about Fromm, and what have you seen as far as his maturation over the season? And it almost seems like what I see as an outsider that they're kind of putting the reins on Fromm. Kind of elaborate on how you feel about the Fromm as a quarterback. I think he's a great quarterback.
Well, and this is where I'm going to diverge from a lot of Georgia fans, and I've had to leave certain groups because they've been a little too overly negative on Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm was expected to hold the clipboard and play mop-up duty this year. And so when Jacob Eason went down and Fromm came in there, the guy probably had about 60% of the playbook down. And so, of course, they're going to hold back the reins a little bit because he doesn't know the entire playbook. But what I see with Jake Fromm is he's clearly not the arm talent that Jacob Eason is, but I think that within the context of what we do, which is run, a power run game, play action passing, he's the right fit for what we do. Now, I think he can move his eyes a little bit better. I think, there's been concern about him throwing across the middle, which I don't know what that's about. I don't know if he can't do it or the coach or staff is just afraid to do it. But the reality is we got to make throws across the middle. Our tight ends are too good to not utilize them. Isaac Nada and Charlie Warner in particular could really present some matchup problems for Auburn, and we got to make those kind of plays. And so I think that for next time around, we gotta if we're gonna play a play action game, we got to be able to use our tight ends and just really create some matchup problems for some of these better teams that we play, because we're not going to run down the pipe at an Auburn all day long. It's not going to happen. So especially if our offensive line still it's better, but it's not quite where it was. And so I think that we got to, open up a little bit more against Auburn. That's just the bottom line.
Well, we're going to take a break here. When we come back from the break, let's talk about the upcoming game in the SEC championship game. I've got a fundraiser that's really near and dear to my heart, so we'll talk after the break. Hello there, SEC fans. Catfish here. I'd like to tell y'all about an opportunity I have for y'all to help old Catfish raise some money for the worthy cause. I'm going to be putting some packages together for the homeless that I see out here on the exit ramps and at truck stops. And in these packages, we're going to have some necessities, bottled water, toiletries, and snacks. And I'm going to be giving them out as I see these people that are down and out for whatever reason. And many of these are veterans that have served our country proudly, and they've been forgotten. So Christmas is right around the corner. You can help me by ordering an SEC Tiki Totem, and they'd make a great gift for the SEC fan and your family. They're a great value at $34.95, including shipping. So order yours today. All you have to do is send me an email at volunteerroadshow@gmail.com, and I'll send you an invoice through PayPal where you can use their secure payment processing using your major credit card or check. So thank you for helping Old Catfish out, and if you get your order in soon, it might just make it there by Christmas. Welcome back to the Volunteer Roadshow. We've got Couch Coach here. Couch Coach, let's talk about the SEC championship game. What are your expectations and what are you expecting? And not only that, what does the Georgia Bulldogs need to do if they're going to even compete with Auburn?
I think they need to fight for 60 minutes is what I think. I think that they need to go out there and execute, not make dumb penalties. Look, I mean, we lost 40-17, but some of those scores came from like bad opportunities. I mean, when one of our guys jumped over the pile and gave them new life. Look, we cannot give Auburn new life. I mean, we get off the field, we got to be able to convert there. And the same thing, I mean, we got to be able to just take advantage of our opportunities. The opportunities were there in the first game. And I think that, if there's anything from that first game to take away, it's like, look, we left a lot of points on the field against them. And when we got to a situation where it's a 2-score game, look, we have a quarterback who's not going to put this offense on his back and throw us back into a game. So we got to hang in there, and I think that that's the expectation. Play your run game, but, don't go up the middle all the time. I mean, I don't know what that's about. Go off tackle. We got some speed. I mean, it's not a question of, getting speed out there. It's just a question of utilizing those guys better.
Well, let's talk about Auburn. One of the most often used axiomatic phrases is defense wins championships. And that's one thing that I've seen in Auburn is they have a fantastic defense. They're attacking and they're flying around the ball. What do you expect from Auburn, and how do you expect Georgia to have to attack that defense?
Well, I mean, Auburn's just going to keep doing what they're doing. When you're on a roll like this, you just stick with what works. I think on our end, we have to be able to, throw some different things at their line of scrimmages because we don't have the girth to be able to match up with them. So we're going to have to, do some stunts on the defensive side of the ball. And if that means we give up, a big play every once in a while, that's what we have to do. I mean, we can't let Auburn just run down the pipe at us and just do, zone reads at us all day long. Kirby, our talent on defense is from our linebacking core. So we got to move those guys around and, really put some pressure on Stidham. I mean, if you let that quarterback stick back there all day long and have 3-4 seconds to throw, he's going to pick us apart. We can't have it. So I think that was the challenge of not playing a lot of quarterbacks that could beat us throwing the ball. So we got to, at least make him start running the ball, throwing it or something, because otherwise, if we let him, sit back there and, pick us apart, he's going to kill us. Absolutely.
Couch Coach, I'm glad you're on the show, but if you had a message to Auburn fans who have been running their mouth here lately, what kind of message do you want to send the Auburn fans out there? This is a little trash talking channel that I have, and I want to give you the opportunity and the soapbox and the platform to talk to Auburn fans. So have at it.
Well, listen, this dates back a while with us. We're cousin schools. We know what we're about. And actually we started in Atlanta, so I'm glad we're going back to Atlanta. But, each game is different. And so, hey, congratulations on winning in Auburn. We've dominated you guys the last 10 years, so I'm glad you got off the snide. And I appreciate that little soldier boy dig. I'm glad you decided to do that 10 years after the fact, even though you didn't have anything for us the first time around. That's okay. We own Soldier Boy if you want. And I'm glad that you were offended by little black jerseys back in the day. Maybe 20 years from now, if we beat you, you can bring that up again too. But listen, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Auburn. They're playing well. They've earned the right to talk trash a little bit. But each game is different, and it's always difficult to beat another team a second time around. You see it in the NFL all the time. So I expect a full war from those guys, and if they beat us, so be it. And, we'll shake their hand. But otherwise, I expect a 60-minute war.
Well, we've got Couch Coach on the show. You told me you saw that piece I did yesterday with that Clemson fan talking trash about the SEC. You have a chance right now to talk to Pigskin Pete, where you've got a bunch of people going to watch it. What is your message to Pigskin Pete and his ACC versus SEC analysis?
Well, I think it's become very fashionable to dog the SEC. Well, it's not the SEC's fault that they've won, how many championships in the last decade? I mean, do you hear the SEC talking about the ACC?
Got a good point.
So, I mean, listen, if the ACC wants respect, then maybe they shouldn't lose to teams like Pittsburgh and Syracuse, their top two front runners. I mean, nothing was more Mark Richt than seeing that Pittsburgh loss last week. And I know Mark Richt better than anybody. I had 15 years of it. So that's what you guys have as a championship game. And hopefully you guys can sell out that ACC championship game. It's about as popular as I don't know, like a little fish fry or something. But, I mean, hey, at least our games sell out. We know what the SEC does. And our top three teams are our top three teams. And let's see if they can match up.
Well, Couch Coach, I really enjoyed you on the show here, and I'd really like to have you back on after the championship game, win or lose, and have my day after interview with you if you'd be back on the show.
Well, we can see what we can do, and hopefully I'll be a little bit better looking next time you see me.
It's not any worse than me. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks, and don't forget to check out my Facebook page at Volunteer Roadshow and also Volunteer Roadshow's Fan Talk. And I'm just now starting to get active on Twitter, and you can check me out there at Vols Roadshows. So everybody say it with me. Go Vols! We're going 15-0. I promise you that.